like certain, like I was convinced that I had 99 albums and that I was waiting for my next album to come for me to reach 100 albums. But then for some reason, something just came into my mind where I was like, I think you need to count your albums. So I counted them. Turns out I'm actually at 100 albums, and I just reached 100 albums the last time I got a delivery. And it... I have no self-control. We've been through this. If you like K-pop and want to see more videos like this, you might as well give this video a thumbs up and subscribe and turn on that little bell notification. It's just a fun time, you know, we have a fun time on this channel. I feel like there needs to be a little bit of a disclaimer here. This video is not to brag. This is just a video for my subscribers and people who think they want to start a K-pop collection, people who are just starting a K-pop collection, or just anybody who likes to buy, just anybody who collects and buys K-pop albums. It's just a fun video. It is not meant to brag. Another disclaimer is that out of the 100 albums that I own, I bought 98 of them with my own money. The other 2 were birthday gifts. So they were all bought out of my own money that I got from working at a job. Some people have been asking for an updated collection, but I'm thinking about doing that in December, you know, so it's kind of like a more of a yearly thing, because I did it at the end of December last year, and so I can do it at the end of December this year with a very much increased collection. Okay, so one thing that I've been really wanting to say recently is that everybody starts somewhere with a collection. Nobody goes into a collection with like 100 items. That just doesn't happen unless you are really rich, unless you're like part of the 1%. You have to start somewhere. So I know it's really hard on YouTube when I first started collecting, I was watching so many videos of like my K-pop collection, 100 plus albums, my K-pop collection, 200 plus albums, my huge K-pop collection, and they just seemed massive, and they just seemed like something that I could never ever achieve. Like, this was never going to happen. I was looking at like 10 albums and I was like, oh my god, that's never going to happen to me. And for some reason it feels like you're at 10 albums for ages, and then all of a sudden it's like more and more and more, and then you're like, oh my god, all of a sudden I'm at 100 albums. Never even fucking saw it coming. Like, if you had asked me like 5 weeks ago how many albums I thought I had, I would have said around like 50 or 60, and then I just counted and I was like, wait, I have way more than I thought I did. Just because someone else's collection is bigger than your own doesn't mean that your collection isn't any good. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't be proud of the collection that you have. Also, doesn't matter how fast it happens. Like, it's not like a race to see who can get the most amount of albums in the shortest amount of time. It's just take your time. That kind of leads into another point that I wanted to make, which was don't overdo yourself. Only buy what you can. Know the difference between I have the money and I can afford. That is such, like, that, I feel like such a grown-up saying that, like, me being 21 feeling like such a grown-up. No, I feel like such a grown-up for saying that, but know the difference between I have the money and I can afford. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. I know that's not what people want to hear. I know people want to hear that they can just buy whatever they want, but that's not the world we live in. Kind of unfortunately, kind of thankfully, but that's not the world we live in. You can't just buy anything you want whenever you want if you don't have the means to do so. Because if I gave you €20 and you saw a K-pop album that was €20, you have the money to buy it. But if I gave you €20 and you also had to buy yourself food, then you can't afford it. You have the money, you can't afford it. And then to all the younger fans, all those who are like 14, 15 and under, I believe in most countries you can start working at the age of 16. Now, most people don't. Like, where I come from, that's like it's really rare to have a job in school. People just don't really do it, but some people do. But I'm pretty sure that the youngest age you can work at least in my country, is 16 years old. If you're too young to work a job and earn your own money, don't get mad. Please don't get mad at your parents if they cannot afford to buy you every K-pop album you want. If they can't afford to just buy you a K-pop album whenever you want one. If your parents can't buy you K-pop albums, which is completely understandable, I know that's not exactly what you might want to hear, but it is completely understandable if they can't buy you K-pop albums. If your parents can't buy you K-pop albums, what I would recommend is birthdays and Christmas. You know, they're a great way to get things. And, you know, make lists. So you make a list of all the albums that you want, and when it comes around to Christmas, your parents say you can have 2 albums, or you can have 3 albums, you can have 1. They'll say how many you can have. Usually parents have like a price that they would pay for like Christmases and birthdays. So ask your parents if they're okay with you getting albums, then they'll say you can buy 2. You just pick your number 2, like your top 2 albums that you want. And then you just kind of have to wait it out. Like, it's really fucking rough. Sorry for my language if I'm speaking to the young kids now. But I know it's rough, but it's just something that you have to deal with. I will say, people don't always agree with me on this, but I always feel like 10 times better buying something when it's with my own money than when it's with somebody else's money. Like, I used to always hate spending my parents' money. I just don't like it. I just didn't like it. Time will pass and eventually you will be able to get a job of your own. And if you are still into K-pop, then you can buy as many as you want. When it's your own money, you can do whatever you want with it. You can buy as many as you want. But when it's your parents' money, not so much. And for other people who are already collecting and are already buying albums themselves, prioritizing lists are amazing. So you have your groups that you prioritize for. So groups that I prioritize for are like Stray Kids, because I already have a full Stray Kids collection, so I really want to keep that full. Then I don't have a full BTS collection, but they are my priority for going back and buying albums. It's also really good to create rules for yourself. So if there's a 4-version album, I won't buy all 4 versions, at least at first. Like, I'll buy like 1 or 2 and then go back and buy the other ones. It's so much to buy at once that it's just very intimidating. And so I don't really like buying 4 versions at once. That's just a personal rule of my own. I only buy repackaged albums of groups that I like stan. So like, I wouldn't buy a repackaged album if it was just a group that I liked, because they're usually more expensive. So I'd usually just buy the regular album and then just leave the repackaged album for a group that I just liked. Another thing is that it is completely okay to buy like one-off albums, which I feel like is a little bit not controversial, but a lot of people don't tend to agree with it in like the K-pop album buying, collecting world. Sometimes people don't necessarily agree with that, which I don't really get. I understand if you like to keep your collection like very together, so like there's groups that you collect and you have all the albums for all of them, and then you don't want just like one stray one. But if somebody does, just like leave them be. You don't need to know all the members' names to buy the album. That's just not a thing that you need. You just need to enjoy the album. That shouldn't be an unpopular opinion. That shouldn't be something that I'm kind of like hesitant to say. But like, you just don't. Like, you just don't need to know every single member's name to buy the album. You just want to support the artist. It's okay. I've just seen a couple of hauls where the person didn't know the member that they got because they weren't a huge fan of the group or a huge stan of the group. They just liked the album and so they bought it, and then people were like giving out to them in the comments like, oh my god, you're not a real fan, oh my god, you don't deserve this album. What about deserving? They bought it. So, like, what are you saying? Spent their money on the album, so yeah, they do deserve the album. I'm gonna finish off this video and going back on the first point. Everything starts off with 1. I started off with 2 albums in my collection because I got 2 for my birthday, and that's what, like, fucking cannonballed me into a fucking obsession. I started off with 2 albums. I'm now at 100. That didn't happen overnight. Nothing happens overnight. All good things come with time. See, this is the English student in me coming out, just getting philosophical over things that I don't need to get philosophical over. A flood starts with 1 raindrop. Just remember that. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to post notifications from where you say genius, I think Min Yoongi. All my socials will be linked down below, and I will see you when I see you. Okay, bye!